Welcome to the Let's Talk About Love, Sex, and Infidelity podcast with your host, Todd Krieger. Todd has over 35 years of experience working with thousands of couples as a licensed therapist in his private practice. Todd shares his insights on this show. It's never too early to divorce-proof your marriage or too late to heal yourselves and have the relationship you truly want.
Hi, everybody. This is Todd Krieger. So, why does the same fight happen 100 times? Let me give you a hint. It's not you and your partner that's fighting. It's your protectors fighting. Let's see how we could break this bickering loop using a method called internal family systems. Internal family systems, I've been talking about it. I use it with EMDR and other trauma treatment. I use it on its own sometimes as well. And what I love about it is the language is so spot on. So what I mean that your protectors are fighting is internal family systems. We have parts of us that protect us from our deeper wounds. Deeper wounds is maybe the parts of us that really did get wounded, that did get hurt in some way that led to the belief that we're bad or we're not safe or we're not good enough or whatever. That we all have those that we carry around because nobody gets unbruised in life. And so we get a partner now and we get triggered. And my protector is fighting with your protector. Give you an example of that. So you have a couple, I can think of many that I've worked with, and I'm thinking of one right now. And with one person tends to get very angry, she, in this case, and would start to raise her voice and say things like, you just never seem to show that you care about me. Never. Okay? Now with that, there's a part of her that's protecting herself from feeling devalued, which she did through her whole life with her parents. Many times she really had to be invisible. And there's a part of her that says, I refuse to be invisible. The husband, in this case, he came from a family where his mom was really out of control, diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, really out of control. He's learned that when she starts, the way he coped when he was a child, he just closed down and he put on the TV or watched a video game. What do you think he does when his wife starts to get angry? He shuts down and he goes to a video game himself, or he'll just go get on the computer or some device and he'll shut the door of the office and just be there. What happens to her? Because they get angry or because she wants to feel visible, this makes her feel more invisible. And what happens is he shuts down. So there's what internal family systems calls the manager. Okay, so the manager could be her being critical, trying to get that attention. So she gets critical, and there's a protective part that gets critical. And he could have a manager too that shuts him down, but it's also a firefighter in policy. So the manager is the part that, and I know some people, you might have heard me hit myself, but then quickly, the manager is the part that keeps the wounds at bay and is more preventive. The firefighter is when the wound's coming up fast and furious, I just distract myself. So he'll distract himself. He'll distract himself with a game on the computer or distract himself with something else on another device, TV, whatever. That's an escape. It's a firefighter who's protecting him from the feeling that he had probably as a child, but now even as an adult. I shouldn't say probably, definitely as a child, but also as an adult. That it's just overwhelming and it's scary because that little boy had to live with a mom who was out of control. So that's just an example. And couples will get into that bickering loop because their protective parts have hijacked them. And so we need to appreciate those parts that are trying to protect us, but we ultimately have to stop, slow down, have a conversation with that part, and see if that part can unburden itself from that role of trying to protect so that something else can happen. Because, of course, when our protective parts are running the show, what happens? It dysregulates the other person even more. and makes the protective part even stronger. There's other examples of that as well, too. You have the person who drinks, okay, firefighter, as a way to cope with his feelings of anxiety. Oh, could be her. Again, just to give a couple. Then I'm seeing the woman, not the couple in this case. And the woman, the manager in her years just would adapt because he would be gone and escape through drinking and make other activities more important. And her manager would just say, just go with it. Because you don't want to, and she would just get more into the kids. You don't want to feel bad enough. She really don't want to, and she would be too passive. Until he got drunk and cheated on her. And then that was it. Now she's starting to realize the importance of boundaries. He's recognizing that he needs to face what he's running from with drinking, and they're doing better. They're still in process. And they have their own couples therapist in this case, and I'm working with the wife to help her heal from the infidelity. But anyway, there's still parts. And so we need to learn how to speak from a part, not as a part. Instead of saying, you always that, you always demonstrate how you don't care about me. It's like, there's a part of me that really feels lonely when I'm in pain and you run away from me. Okay, so now who's communicating is her or his self, his healthy self, his mature adult self. And honoring the part, like there's a part of him that really feels lonely when you do that. And so I've seen this work with so many couples where they learn how to stop, they pause, and then they pivot from, like I said, speaking not as a part, but from a part, speak about the part, I would say, to tune into it and to recognize what's going on, to have that awareness of that consciousness. So that even in my own life, when I had such a habit of being defensive, to be able to recognize that defensive part, not as a failure of myself, that's not helpful, but more of it's a part that is trying to protect me from feeling inadequate. And yet, the problem with that part is believes I'm inadequate unless my partner likes me. And it's like, really? Now we can start to come from ourselves. That's not necessarily true. That I'm only okay if she's happy with me. That's the part. That's a part that was burdened. I won't get into my childhood. It came from that whole thing back then. And it oftentimes does. And to be able to notice that part and look at my partner when she's disappointed and be able to listen to her rather than get defensive and be in that part. The other thing that could work is I could say, wow, I want to listen to you, but I notice I have a part of me that just freaks out when you do that, wants to defend myself and get mean. And that's not going to help. But it's freeing ourselves up. And then the bickering stops. The defensiveness stops. Other escape kind of behaviors can stop. The person who's complaining can now speak in a way that makes it easy for the other person to stop because they're not speaking as a part. Like the part in the first example where the invisible part that's needing to be heard makes it harder for the partner. We need to pause and pivot. What part of me is reacting right now? Can I be in touch with that part? Tune into that part. I would love for you to click on the link that is my communication program. It's titled From Bickering and Escalating to Loving and Connecting. Wonderful program, 90-minute program, relationship changing program. So thanks for listening. This is Todd Krieger, making the world safe for love.
That's it for today's episode of Let's Talk About Love, Sex, and Infidelity podcast with your host, Todd Krieger. For free resources and materials, head over to toddkrieger.com. Loved this episode? Head over to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and leave a review. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you.